Hi all, welcome to BIAS Academy. We will start with Science and Technology audio notes for prelims and mains. For whom is this audio notes useful? It's useful for all UPSC aspirants, state public service aspirants like APPSC, TNPSC, MPPSC, RSPSC, UPPSC, CGL and SSC. What are the benefits of audio notes? You can listen to whenever you're traveling, in your break time, or when you're waiting for somebody somewhere, or in your office breaks. Whenever you listen to the topic, after completion of the topic, pause the video and make a keyword notes of the topic as discussed. The structure of the class would be: the topic would be discussed. Once the topics discussed are on the right hand side of your screen. Once the topic is completed, we will do a recap or a revision and then go to the next topic. In the end of the video, after completion of all the topics, we will recall the entire discussion through keywords. Good. Let's start with Unit 1, Part 2. Syllabus is National Policies on Proliferation of Science, Technology and Innovation. Topics covered are: role of science policy in India's development, Science Policy Resolution 1958, Technology Policy 1983, Strategies adopted to implement Technology Policy 1983, Technology Policy 2003, Science, Technology and Innovation Policy 2013, National Data Sharing and Accessibility Policy 2012, National Policy on Conflict of Interest or Code of Ethics concerning Science and Technology. So let's start. The need for scientific policy for the country, or explain the role of science policy in the development of the country. The key to national prosperity. The key to national prosperity, apart from the spirit of people, lies in the modern age in the effective combination of three factors like science, technology, capital. Technology is very vital, as the adoption of new scientific techniques can make up for the deficiency in natural resources and reduce the demands on capital. The technology can grow only out of the study of science and its applications. So let's see the timeline of the science policy in India. The first scientific policy was launched in 1958. Next, 1983, new policy was launched, focused on the need to attain technological competence and self-reliance. Next policy in 2003 is wanted to bring science and technology together, bring higher investments into R&D to address national problems. Next policy is in 2013, made by Department of Science and Technology. 2010 and 20 in India has been declared as a decade of innovation. It might be helpful for your prelims. Remember, decade of innovation 2010 to 20. We're coming back. The dominant feature of the contemporary world is the intense cultivation of science on a large scale and its applications to meet countries' requirements. Science has led to growth and diffusion of culture to an extent never possible before. It is only through the scientific approach and method and the use of scientific knowledge that reasonable material and cultural amenities and services can be provided for every member of the community. The wealth and prosperity of a nation depend on effective utilization of human and material resources for industrialization. The use of human material for industrialization demands its education in science and training in technical skills. Industry opens up possibilities of greater fulfillment for the individual. India's enormous resources of manpower can only become an asset in the modern world when trained and educated according to the requirements. So India's strength is enormous resources of manpower, but it will become a resource only when they are trained and educated as per our requirements, as per the country's requirements. Going back, the first Prime Minister, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, emphasized that the modern India can be built on the twin fundamental principles. Those are science and technology. Science and technology can make up for the deficiencies in raw material by providing substitute, or indeed by providing skills which can be exported in return for raw materials. The development of science and technology can be carried out without logically framed scientific policies with clear defined aims and objectives, as well as strategies to achieve these objectives in specified time. So that what does it mean? It means that without a logical frame, science and technology policies does not make any sense. Okay, going to the next topic. Science Policy Resolution 1958. So bring your attention here. It was launched in March 1958. It was the first scientific policy after independence. This resolution gave an emphasis on promoting and cultivation of science and increasing the number of researchers, scientists, and training scientific personnel so that the research and development activities can result in socio-economic development of the country. Let's look at the objectives of the Science Policy Resolution 1958. 1. To foster, promote and sustain by appropriate means the cultivation of science and scientific research in pure, applied and educational aspects. 2. To ensure an adequate supply of research scientists of high quality within the country and recognize their work as an important component of the strength of the nation. 3. To increase and ensure with all possible speed the programs for training of scientific and technical personnel on a scale adequate to fulfill the country's needs in science and education, culture and industry and defense. 4. To ensure that the creative talent of men and women is encouraged and find full scope in scientific activity. 5. To increase individual initiative for the acquisition and dissemination of knowledge and for the discovery of new knowledge in an atmosphere of academic freedom. 6. To secure for the people of the country all the benefits that can be obtained from the application of scientific knowledge. The Government of India decided to achieve these aims by offering good conditions of service to scientists and according them an honored position by associating scientists with the formulation of policies and by taking such other measures as may be deemed necessary from time to time. So let us recap the Science Policy Resolution 1958. When was it launched? It was launched in March 1958 by the then Prime Minister Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. The resolution gave emphasis on promoting, cultivating science and increasing the number of researchers, scientists and training personnel. Objectives were foster, promote, sustain scientific research. Number 2, supply research scientists. 3, training of scientific and technical personnel. 4, to ensure creativity in the men and women of the country. 5, to increase individual initiative for knowledge dissemination and to have academic freedom. 6, share the benefits of science and technology to all the people. So how did government do this? By associating scientists in policy making and offering them good conditions of service. Let's go to the next topic. Salient features of technology policy 1983. Technology Policy Statement of 1983 was framed as a response to the needs for the guidelines to cover wide-ranging and complex set of interrelated areas. The basic objectives of the Technology Policy 1983 focused on development of indigenous technology and efficient absorption and adoption of imported technologies appropriate to the national priorities and resources. Here, what does it say? It focuses on development of indigenous technology and absorption and adoption of imported technologies. Okay, let's look at the aims of the policy or the objectives of the policy. To attain technological competence and self-reliance, to reduce vulnerability, especially in the strategic and critical areas, with the maximum use of indigenous resources. 2. To provide maximum gainful and satisfying employment to all the strata of the society, with emphasis on employment of women and weaker sections. 3. To use traditional skills and capability and making them commercially competitive. 4. To ensure that there is a correct match between mass production technologies and a production by masses. 5. To ensure maximum development with minimum capital outlay. 6. To identify obsolescence of technologies in use and arrange for modernization of both equipment and technology. 7. To develop technologies which are internationally competitive, particularly those with export potential. 8. To improve production speedily through great efficiency and fuller utilization of existing capabilities and enhance the quality and reliability of performance and output. 9. To reduce demands on energy, particularly energy from non-renewable resources. 10. to ensure harmony with environment, preserve ecological balance, and improve the quality of habitats. 11. To recycle waste materials and make full utilization of byproducts. Okay, let's see this subtopic within this. What were the strategies pursued by the Government of India to implement Technology Policy 1983, or it can be asked as, what are the challenges that led to the Government of India towards a new Technology Policy Statement 2003? During the implementation of 1983 policy objectives, the Government of India has identified agriculture, defense, energy sectors for achieving self-sufficiency. You can remember it as DAE or a DAE. D is defense, A for agriculture, E for energy. For what? For self-sufficiency. Accordingly, the Green Revolution was extended to the rainfed areas under agriculture. Ministry of Non-Conventional Energy Sources, that is MNES, was set up in 1992. This falls under energy. And under defense, it started Integrated Guided Missile Development Program in 1983, which is IGMDP. Apart from this, as a part of the strategy, India has developed and launched INSAT, INSAT and IRS satellites to provide applications in communications, telemedicine, tele-education, agriculture, rural development, even to the remotest parts of the country. As a part of fulfilling the objectives of the policy to provide gainful employment even in rural areas, village-based industries were established. For example, Khadi Village Industries Commission (KVIC) was expanded to promote the cattle breeding, poultry, sericulture, apiculture, black culture, etc. As a part of the strategy, Government of India even started technology missions like National Horticulture Mission, National Mission on Oilseeds and Palm Oil, the Digital Literacy Mission, to prevent the impacts of the development on environment as well as to achieve harmony between ecosystems and human growth. Environment Protection Act 1986 was brought into implementation. Other strategies including drinking water supply to the villages, promotion of dryland farming in rainfed areas, control of tuberculosis, leprosy and elimination of blindness, as well as population stabilization, including vaccine availability and promoting bioenergy. Okay. During the implementation of Technology Policy 1983, Government of India has faced various challenges in various areas. So India did not establish its own IPR regime, that is intellectual property rights regime, which resulted in loss of traditional knowledge. Too many MNCs attempted piracy on our traditional knowledge. Similarly, climate change and other disasters posed a great challenge for our country, which were not addressed in earlier policies. Further, there was a need felt to increase spending on R&D, research and development, as well as de-bureaucratization of Indian science research. Many new issues in the form of agricultural crisis, increased dependency on crude oil, and brain drain made Indian government to develop new science policy, that is 2003. We'll see later. So let's recap the Technology Policy Statement 1983 and the strategies adopted by the Government of India to implement it. So it was launched in 1983. What for? To cover a wide-ranging and complex set of interrelated areas. It focused on development of indigenous technology, efficient adoption of imported technologies. The objectives were technological competence, self-reliance. Number 2, employment to women, men in all states of the society, especially focusing on weaker sections. 3, use traditional skills, make them commercially competitive. 4, match between mass production and production by masses, that means take care of the people. 5, ensure maximum development with a minimum capital. 6, modernization and removing old technologies. 7, develop technologies which are internationally competitive, so that which will increase our exports. 8, improve production with quality and reliability. 9, reduce demands on energy, especially non-renewable sources. 10, ensure harmony with environment. 11, recycle waste and make full utilization of byproducts. And strategies in the areas selected for implementation are energy. Main areas are DAE, which we said as defense, agriculture, energy. In defense, it started Integrated Guided Missile Development Program 1983. Under agriculture, Green Revolution was extended to rainfed areas. And under energy, Ministry of Non-Conventional Energy Sources (MNES) was set up in 1992. Apart from that, it launched satellites, INSAT and IRS satellites for communication, telemedicine, teleeducation, agriculture, rural development. And then it started Khadi Village Industries Commission, which was expanded for cattle dairy, poultry, sericulture, apiculture, and lag culture. Apart from that, many technological missions were launched. Environment Product Protection Act 1986 was launched. But India did not focus on IPR, intellectual property rights, or preserving our traditional knowledge, or it did not focus on climate change, all these things. So this led to the next topic. So technology policy statement 2003. So let's look at the objectives of technology policy 2003. Government of India introduced a new technology policy statement in 2003, that is after 20 years, in 1983. This policy was framed recognizing the changing context of scientific enterprise and to meet present national needs in the new era of globalization. The objectives of the policy are to ensure that the message of science reaches every citizen of India, women, young, old, so that we advance in scientific temper and achieve progress and finally achieve an enlightened society. Second objective, to ensure food, nutritional, agricultural, environmental, water, health and energy security of the people on sustainable basis. 3. To mount a direct and sustained effort on elevation of poverty, cancer, livelihood, security, removal of hunger and malnutrition, reduction in drudgery and regional imbalances, both rural and urban, and generation of employment by using scientific and technological capabilities along with our traditional knowledge. 4. To vigorously foster scientific research in universities and other academic, scientific and engineering institutions and attract the brightest young persons to careers in science and technology. 5. To promote the empowerment of women in all science and technology activities and ensure their full and equal participation. 6. To provide necessary autonomy and freedom of functioning for all academic and R&D institutions so that an ambience for truly creative work is encouraged. 7th objective, to use the full potential of modern science and technology to protect, preserve, evaluate, update, add value, and utilize the extensive knowledge acquired over the long civilization experience of India. 8th objective, to accomplish natural, strategic and security related objectives. 9. To encourage research and innovation. 10th objective, to substantially strengthen enabling mechanisms that relate to technology development, evaluation, absorption and upgradation of concept. 11th objective, to establish intellectual property rights regime for protection of all our inventors. 12th objective, to ensure that all efforts made to have high-speed access to information both in quality and quantity at affordable cost to create digitized, valid and usable content of Indian origin. 13th objective, to encourage research and application of forecasting, prevention, mitigation of natural hazards, particularly floods, cyclones, earthquakes, drought and landslides. 14th objective, to promote international science and technology cooperation towards achieving the goals of national development and security and make it a key element for our international relations. 15. To integrate scientific knowledge with insights from other disciplines and ensure fullest involvement of scientists and technologists in national governance. Okay, let's recap the Technology Policy 2003. Let's recap the Technology Policy 2003. It was introduced after 20 years. The policy was framed in recognizing change in the context of the scientific enterprise to meet those present days national needs in the new era of globalization. The main objectives were to achieve a progressive and enlightened society, to ensure food security, nutritional security, agricultural, environmental, water and health to all the people of the society. 3. elevation of poverty, cancer, livelihoods, providing livelihood security, etc. Fourth was to foster scientific research. Fifth was empowerment of women. Sixth, or providing autonomy to R&D institutions. 7. To use full potential of science and technology. 8. Using our traditional knowledge. 9. Encourage research and innovation. 10. Strengthen enabling mechanism that relates to technology development. 11. Establish intellectual property rights regime. 12. Have high-speed access to information. 3. Encourage research and application for forecasting disasters, national hazards, and mitigating them. Next, promote international science and technology cooperation so that it plays a key element in our international relations. Next, integrate scientific knowledge. So let's go to the next topic. Science and Technology Innovation Policy 2013. What is it? Science and Technology Innovation Policy. The key statement is innovation. Innovation stepped in for the first time into the policy at a policy level in 2013. Yesterday we spoke about innovation. It was said in the 1992 innovation was as a subject was considered for the policy making. So the result is you can see in 2013. So let's go into the topic. The Science, Technology and Innovation Policy 2013 was unveiled by the then Prime Minister Manmohan Singh in an inaugural session of the centenary sessions of Indian Science Congress at Kolkata in January 2013. Remember, Indian Science Congress at Kolkata 2013. The STI policy seeks to send a signal to the Indian scientific community, both in private and public domain, that science, technology and innovation should focus on faster, sustainable and inclusive development of the society. Keywords are focus on faster, sustainable and inclusive development. The policy seeks to focus on both STI for people and people for STI. It aims to bring all benefits of science and technology innovation to the national development and sustainable and more inclusive growth. It seeks the right sizing of gross expenditure on research and development by encouraging, incentivizing private sector participation in R&D, technology and innovation activities. So let's look at the major objectives of Science and Technology Policy, Technology Innovation Policy 2013. 1. To spread scientific temper. 2. Enhancing skills for application of science among young from all social sectors. 3. Making careers in science, research, innovation attractive so that it will attract bright minds. 4. Established world-class infrastructure for R&D. 5. Positioning India among the top 5 global scientific powers by 2020. How? By increasing the share of global scientific publications from 3.5% to 7%. 6. Linking contributions of science research and innovation system with inclusive economic growth. 7. Creating an environment for enhanced private sector participation in R&D. 8. Enabling conversions of R&D output with societal and commercial applications by replicating hitherto successful models as well as establishing of new PPP structures. 9. Seeking science and technology based high risk innovation through new mechanisms. 10. Fostering resource optimized cost effective innovation across science and technology domains. 11. Triggering in the mindset and value systems to recognize, respect and reward performances which create wealth for S&T derived knowledge, and creating a robust national innovation system, of which the main aspirational elements of STI policy are: 1. Raising gross expenditure in research and development, that is GERD, to 2% from 1% of GDP by encouraging private sector contribution. So the next one is increasing the number of full-time equivalent of R&D personnel in India at least 66% of the present strength in 5 years. Next is increasing accessibility, availability and affordability of innovations, especially for women, differently abled and disadvantaged sections of the society. So let's recap this policy, which is important. Let's focus on this. We will focus on the keywords. It was launched in 2013 by the then Prime Minister Manmohan Singh during the centenary celebrations of Indian Science Congress at Kolkata. What does it want to do? It wants to send a signal of the Indian scientific community, both in private and public domain, that science, technology, innovation should focus on faster, sustainable and inclusive development of people. The objectives are enhancing skills of the young people, promoting scientific temper, making careers attractive so that it brings in bright minds. Next is establish world-class infrastructure. Next, positioning India at the top 5. That is how by 2020. How by increasing the share of global scientific publication like journals, research articles, which is at 3.5%. They want to bring it to 7%. And the next objective is linking contributions of scientific research. Next is enhance or increase the private sector participation, replicating the successful models. Next is seeking S&T based high risk innovations through new mechanisms, fostering cost effective innovations, creating wealth through science and technology derived knowledge. The most important 3 points are raising gross expenditure in research and development which is at 1% to 2%. Next is increasing full-time equivalent R&D personnel to minimum of 66%, and increasing accessibility, availability, affordability of innovations for women, differently abled and disadvantaged people. Good. So let's go to the next topic. National Data Sharing and Accessibility Policy 2012. And what are the benefits from implementing this? So, National Data Sharing and Accessibility Policy 2012 was approved by Union Cabinet in February 2012. The objective of the policy is to facilitate access to Government of India owned shareable data and information in both human readable and machine readable forms through a network all over the country. Simply saying, to create a network where humans and machines can read the National Government of India's data, which is shareable. This is done in a proactive and a periodical updatable manner within the framework of various related policies. It permits a wider accessibility and use of public data and information. This policy is designed to promote data sharing and enable access to Government of India owned data for national planning and development. The National Data Sharing and Accessibility Policy will apply to all data, underline the word all data, and information created, generated, collected and achieved using public funds provided by Government of India directly or through authorized agencies such as ministries, departments, organizations, agencies and autonomous bodies. So let's look at the salient features of the policy. The different departments, number one objective is the different departments and wings of the central and state governments should divide the data into different types and classify them into sensitive data and negative data. Second feature is data ought to be sorted out based on the guidelines of the RTI 2005 Act. 3. The data classified into negative should be regularly reviewed. 4. Analog data should be changed into digital data in a specified time frame. So what are the advantages of this policy? So citizens will have access to reliable and safe data. 2. It results in proper implementation of Right to Information Act 2005. The transparency and commitment of the government departments will be enhanced. It provides protection of strategic information without bringing it within the purview of general public. So let's recap what is this National Data Sharing and Accessibility Policy 2012. When was it implemented? You know it, 2012. What is its objective? It wants to have a pan-India network through which it wants to facilitate access of government-owned shareable data and information in both human readable and machine readable forms. So what are the objectives, or the salient features? Departments, central or state, have to divide the data into different types, classify them. We classify them into sensitive or negative data. The data has to be sorted as per the guidelines of Right to Information Act 2005. The data which is categorized under negative data has to be reviewed regularly. Analog data, with the data which is in paper, format has to be changed into digital format. What are the advantages? It provides citizens with reliable data. 2. It enhances the implementation of Right to Information 2005. Transparency and commitment will be enhanced. It also provides for the protection of strategic information. So let's go to the next topic, which will be helpful in your ethics as well. National Policy on Conflict of Interest, or Code of Ethics. So, conflict of interest, what does it mean? It means any interest which could significantly prejudice an individual's objective in the decision making process, thereby creating an unfair competitive advantage of the individual or to the organization which he or she represents. Simply put, if you're working in a particular job, you have that authority, and this authority comes in conflict with your personal interest, so that you can take advantage of your job and indulge in corrupt practices. Okay, so considering this, where science and technology is a sensitive domain, Government of India came up with certain policies for the people involved or the personnel involved in science and technology domain. The policy was framed by Department of Science and Technology. The first feature is to protect the integrity of the decision making process and minimize biases. Number 2, to sustain transparency and to increase accountability in funding mechanisms and provide assurance to general public that processes followed in award of grants are fair and are not discriminatory. 3, to avoid all forms of bias by following a system that is fair, transparent, and free from all influence. Abstain people from bribing or corrupt practices. 4, to prevent corruption in any form by their officials by following transparent procedures. This will also ensure global acceptance of decision making process by DSC. So let's recap the entire topics discussed. We started with role of science and policy in India. National prosperity occurs with the effective combination of 3 factors, that is science, technology, capital. Science helps in overcoming the deficits in raw materials by providing substitute. Good. The timeline of the policies: 1958, first scientific policy resolution; 1983, scientific policy; 2003, science and technology policy; 2013, science, technology and innovation policy; 2010-20, India has declared this as a decade of innovation. So let's look at, we have discussed about the objectives of Science Policy Resolution 1958. It was framed after independence for the first time in March 1958. What were the objectives? To foster, promote scientific research, adequately supply research scientists; 3, train scientific and technical person; 4, ensure creative talent is encouraged; 5, increase individual initiative; 6, secure benefits of science and technology application. So how did the Government of India do this? It had offered good conditions of service for scientists and honored them by associating scientists with the formulation of policies. So next we have seen salient features of technology policy 1983. It was designed to cover a wide-ranging, complex set of interrelated areas. That is, development of indigenous technology and efficient absorption and adoption of imported technologies. The major aims of this policy were to make India self-reliant, provide employment to all strata of the society, to use traditional skills, to match mass production with the production of masses, maximize development with minimum capital, remove old technologies and arrange for modernization, make our develop technologies which are internationally competitive with export potential, improve production, reduce demands on energy, especially non-renewable sources, ensure harmony with the environment, and recycle waste. So how did the government implement this? So we have seen it had identified 3 areas. One is DAE, defense, agriculture and energy. Under defense sector, it has started integrated guided missile development program. Under agriculture, it has started green revolution was extended to rainfed areas. Under energy sector, Ministry of Non-Conventional Energy Sources, that is MNES, was set up in 1992. Apart from this, it has launched satellites like INSAT, IRS satellites to provide applications in communication like telemedicine, tele-education, agriculture, rural development to the remote parts of the country. It also has started a Khadi Villages Industries Commission for cattle rearing, poultry, to promote cattle rearing, poultry, sericulture, apiculture. It has also launched technology missions like oil missions, national horticultural missions, and to prevent the impact of development on environment. It has started Environment Protection Act 1986. Sorry, not started, implemented Environment Protection Act 1986. It also addressed drinking water supply to villages, promotion of dry land farming into rainfed areas, control of tuberculosis, leprosy. But during this regime, it has ignored. It was faced with certain challenges, like it did not establish its own intellectual property rights regime. Because of it, we lost our traditional knowledge. Next is we did not address the climate change and disasters, and it also has to deeply bureaucratize the Indian science research. So this led to the formulation of a policy, that is Technology Policy 2003, that is after 20 years. So this was framed in the changing context and under the new era of globalization. The objectives of this policy, that is the policy 2003, were to ensure the message of science reaches every citizen of India so that we can have a progressive and enlightened society. Next, it wanted to ensure food, nutritional, agricultural, environmental, water, health and energy security of the people on a sustainable basis. 3. It made an effort to reduce poverty, elevation of poverty, cancer, livelihood security, removal of hunger. 4. It wanted to foster scientific growth. 5. Empowerment of women in science and technology activities. 6. Provide autonomy to R&D institutions. 7. Use full potential of science and technologies knowledge. 8. Accomplish national strategic and security related objectives. 9. Encourage research and innovation. 10. Strengthen enabling mechanisms. 11. Establish intellectual property rights regime. 12. Have high-speed access to information. 13. Encourage research and application for forecasting, prevention and mitigation of natural hazards like particularly floods, cyclones, earthquakes. 14. Promote international science and technology cooperation for international relations. 15. To integrate scientific knowledge, especially considered under our national governance. Next topic which we saw was Science, Technology and Innovation Policy 2013. It's also called as SRISTI, you can see. Science, Research and Innovation System for High Technology Led Path for India. So it was launched when? At Kolkata in a session of the Indian Science Congress by the then Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh. It wanted to send a signal for the both private and public domain that science and technology innovation should focus on faster, sustainable and inclusive development of the people. More inclusive growth. The major objectives of this policy were spread of scientific temper, enhancing skills of young people, making careers in science attractive, establishing world-class infrastructure, positioning India in top 5 global scientific powers. How? By 2020, how it's going to do it? Bring the share of global scientific publications from 3.5% to 7%. Linking contributions of science research and innovation systems with inclusive economic growth. 7. Creating an environment for enhanced private sector participation. 8. Replicating the successful models. 9. Encouraging new mechanisms. 10. Fostering resource optimized cost effective innovation. 11. Create wealth from S&T derived knowledge. The main areas which focused on raising 2% to the present 1% of the GDP. What is it? Gross expenditure in research and development. Next, focus on full-time equivalent R&D personnel, at least of 66%. Next, increasing availability, accessibility and affordability of innovations, especially for women, differently abled and disadvantaged sections. Next, coming to the next topic, we saw National Data Sharing and Accessibility Policy 2012. It wants to establish a network, All India network, where it can share or facilitate access to Government of India owned shareable data and information in both human readable and machine readable format. What are the main salient features? The different departments have to, central and state departments have to divide the data into different types and classify them as sensitive data and negative category. Next, the data has to be sorted based on the guidelines of Right to Information Act 2005. Convert the analog data into digital data. Advantage of this policy were citizens will have access to reliable and safe data. Results in proper implementation of the RTI Act. It ensures transparency and commitment. It provides enough protection to strategic information without bringing it within the purview of general public. Last topic which we saw was national policy and conflict of interest. What is conflict of interest? Any interest which could significantly prejudice an individual's objectivity in the decision-making process, thereby creating an unfair competitive advantage for the individual or to an organization which he or she represents. So, Department of Science and Technology has designed a policy considering conflict of interest and code of ethics. The main objectives were to protect the integrity of decision making, to sustain transparency and accountability. 3. To follow a system that is fair and transparent and free from all influence. 4. To prevent corruption. This will also ensure a global acceptance of decision making process adopted by DST. So here we end our class today, and thank you.